Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original presented by Perplexity. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. At long last, it is Elle Duncan Friday. Elle Duncan, what's going on?
Bo, I missed you. I was like wondering if you forgot about me.
Oh, like, word. That's what we do it. You gonna put this on me? You gonna put this on me? We be hitting you up. You've been so busy and too busy for us for all this time. And by the way, I'm not offended. I recognize it. I would tell Sean, I'm like, look, man, you got to just hit her every week and ask if she knows when she gonna have a time. Because that's what happens when you're dealing with ballers.
Please. No, for real, though, it's definitely not on you. Sean would hit me and it would always be like, can you join tomorrow? And I'm like, I'm getting on a plane to whatever tomorrow. It was always like the day I was traveling. I was like, it couldn't have been today. But yeah, just put it on the calendar. You know that this is my favorite show to join. You're my guy. So thanks for having me back.
That's what I'm saying. I knew not to take it personal, no matter how hard it was at times. You know what I'm saying? I did that. I stayed strong. And I saw you have a new show coming, right?
Yes, we do. It's called Vibe Check. And it's going to be a women-led sports show, but it won't just be women's sports. Obviously, it'll be a home for that. But we got a lot of we got a real roster of women at ESPN that can talk about anything. So super excited to be with Shanae and Drea more consistently, shooting the shit. And we don't know exactly when it'll be coming, but late June, early July.
It's one of those.
Yeah, let's just say summer.
Gotcha. I was afraid that I've been like, you're going to be like, yeah, it's been all since February. And I was going to be like, damn, my bad. I ain't got that channel. It actually turns out I went awkward in the other direction.
We love a little awkward moment. The silence is deafening.
Long it ain't my fault. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
I ain't gonna lie. I was going to it in pure self-interest. Like, oh, if it's tough for you, it's tough for you. You know, that happens sometimes. Just as long as it ain't my fault.
No, it's not.
So, you were at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night, they tell me. Or Wednesday night, rather. You were there.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. And I think this is important for people to get. I have lived in New York now for 8 years. My feelings on Knicks fans have changed because I'm around the real Knicks fans. But being in Atlanta, we don't get their best. New York got to do a little better with their ambassadors that they export to these other places because they're the ones that make us hate y'all. You know what I mean? Especially in Atlanta because they come down in droves. You know what I'm saying? Like get down and then got the nerve to have something to say about it, right? There's a reason we had to make a whole song. If you don't like where I stay, fly away. Correct. We had to tell these people. With that in mind, does that mean you took a great joy in watching what happened to the Knicks as it all fell apart?
So I'm so petty. This has been made clear through many, many years and constant self-admissions that I am petty. And there is a little piece of my petty heart that's like, the greatest thing that's ever happened to Atlanta Hawks is making the Eastern Conference Finals like 12 years ago. And so the recognition that we are nowhere close to ever winning an NBA championship. I was not on the team that felt like, let's laugh at the Knicks fans because they made all too much of just making a conference final. Like, that's pathetic. Why are you celebrating like you won the Larry O'Brien? I'm not on that team because I am a firm believer that as a fan, you're not supposed to celebrate when you lose, obviously. And so then we're going to put, qualifiers on when you're allowed to celebrate and be excited and have like buzz in the city. That's stupid. Okay. They haven't been to this point in 25 years, despite the fact, the Knicks are basically the Cowboys of the NBA. They are in the constant news cycle. It's really important that they're good to the sport, but they haven't had a ton of winning. They haven't won it all since the early 70s, and they haven't even been to a conference final in 25 years. So I'm like all for the celebration and the excitement and all of those things. But because I'm petty, and I'm there and I'm just seeing all the joy on their faces and I'm looking at this just list of celebrities. I mean, everybody was there. Everyone was there. Yes, the tried and true celebrity Knicks fans that are always there. But then like anybody of note, any A-lister that could score this ticket and wanted to flex that they spent $15,000 for a floor seat, they were there. And just to see it all go down and the way that it did against that team with Reggie Miller on the broadcast it was just this cacophony of like, I'm not gonna lie, I snickered a little bit. And it's not because I have any particular grievance against Knicks fans. You could have inserted any team in that situation. And also as an Atlanta fan, not a Falcons fan, but an Atlanta fan, it's always really nice to see people continue to take some of the pressure off of the 28-3 Falcons. And like that's essentially what happened. It was just to go from the beginning of the game where the energy was just palpable, and then like for the Knicks fans to just assume like they were going to be riding the subway celebrating, and for that to happen was just wild.
Hey man, I admit it was funny. Like that ball, I laughed when that ball took that super high bounce and went in. I was like, "Oh, this is hysterical!" Like there was no other way to put it. That was just really, really funny. I kind of wish the Knicks had won because then it would have been, in a way, it's not that it would have been funnier if the Knicks had ultimately won the game. Is that I wouldn't have felt bad about myself for laughing. It just would have been then you guys get to laugh along the way with everybody else kind of situation. Ha ha ha! Yuck yuck yuck! Right? Nah, they took it. That's a tough L and L tough L period. L, comma. The first L is just the L. The second one starts with an E. L, comma. These people get so excited about this team. Like it's actually really sweet the way that New Yorkers feel about the Knicks, and they just want a reason to be optimistic, and they got it, and they doing the thing. Have you seen this where they renaming the streets?
Oh yeah, they renamed all the streets, and not just the starters. Everybody's got one. I was like PJ Tucker Avenue or whatever. I'm like, oh,
I didn't even know he was on the team. And part of what makes it interesting to me, and I was just about to bring this up, is you hit it. It's not just that all the dudes have streets. It's that because Tom Thibodeau plays like 6.5 dudes, there are so many New York Knicks that I've never heard of, right? Yes, there's PJ Tucker that I wasn't quite sure was on the team. DeLon Wright, hashtag, he's still in the league. They gave him a street. But I've never heard of Tyler Kolek, Ariel Hookporty, Pacome Dadier. Unfamiliar. The boy Precious Achua, I've heard of you. The rest of you guys I've heard of, except when they be putting Miles McBride up, I'm like, oh, Deuce, got you. They got a lot of dudes that don't get no minutes, and they get streets. And I hope they out there doing it, boy. Take every picture that you can. Tyler Kolek is taking a picture next to the Tyler Kolek Lane sign, and everybody's trying to figure out why somebody's taking a picture next to the Tyler Kolek sign.
Correct. They're like, oh, I wonder, like, what happened to him? Who is that? Are we memorializing? Was it a great story?
Yes.
My thing, though, Bo, with naming of the streets is they canceled the block party that they usually have around MSG. They canceled it yesterday or on Wednesday. And I was like, why? Is it because of the weather? It was pouring. It was so shitty in New York on Wednesday. And they were like, no, because of all the damage that the fans caused. It does not feel like it is a good situation to then put street signs up after some of these people's favorite players. I feel like you are literally baiting them into stealing the signs. But nonetheless, I want to ask you, because again, you've been in New York for a long time, and John Starks was on my show on Wednesday, and he said the same thing, that people always attribute Knicks fans as like blue collar fans, like they're super blue collar. And I always laugh at that with the juxtaposition of, again, like, Timothy Chalamet being like,
okay. I got you on that though.
Yeah.
I got you on that.
All right. Help me out.
All right. So part of it is, number one, things here are just really expensive, right? Mm-hmm. And so everybody, including somebody like me, is priced out of something.
Yeah.
Right. And so, of course, I see not everybody can get. This is the thing about famous people in New York. And this is very an important distinction. Famous people who live in LA want to live like famous people. Now, black famous people in LA, they still want to do black stuff, right? So you got like a couple diners and stuff you could duck out to. Like one time I was at some diner. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was hood, right? And then you look up and Queen Latifah's coming to pick up her plate and don't nobody mess with her, right? But by and large, you go to LA to be seen.
Right.
Famous people who live in New York want to move like regular people.
Fair.
Right? If you're on the subway, and I'm not like a real famous person, right? Nobody talks to me on the subway. I did have a dude talk to me on the bus once because I think the bus was a bridge farther than he thought was possible. He was like, I can't.
He's like, they're just like us. They ride the bus.
This can't be possibly happening. The subway made sense. The bus was a little more proletariat than I think he expected. So what I'm saying is those famous people are not the same kind of people as the famous people who are in the other places. The other thing about it is, and I don't know how many Madison Square Garden games you've been to. Hey, man, those people are there for the basketball. Yeah. And they are in it. Like, this is not Staples Center where there are people are there to be seen. Yeah. No. Those people are there to watch a basketball game intently.
Yeah, I do respect the fact that, like, all of the former players are like courtside, right? Like, honestly, because a lot of teams will be like, they'll give their former players seats, obviously, but they want to really cash in on all of the television that's going to show all these big name stars sitting courtside. And then, of course, the money that comes along with it. And to see all of these former players, like, right there sitting courtside, how much that they have embraced, their former players is really cool. Are you buying into this is karma for throwing trash at the Pacers? I will say this, Bo. I will say this. I had like a security detail yesterday or on Wednesday. And I was like, this feels really unnecessary. Like, I don't like why. And one of the security guards was like, did you see what happened to Wendy when he just thought he was just going to be like a regular person and walk down the street and go back to his hotel? They were throwing things at him. And, and again, I don't think those are real Knicks fans. Like, I think those are people who are just bad faith characters who are trying to stir the pot and cosplay. But so you're not buying this is karma for picking on the Pacers fan. This is what you get. Take your medicine.
Nah. I mean, honestly, the Knicks are just the Knicks. Like, there's a whole range of nickiness that we could discuss in this. No, I don't think that it went down that road in terms of a karma. I just think they went out there and they blew that game. And now we're going to see top to bottom what happens in this. I love the fact that Haliburton has made himself into a villain, right? Like, I think I enjoy the presence of that. I also, like you, enjoy the former players courtside, but I think a big part of why the former players want to be there courtside is this is the first time for many of them that someone's actually been happy to see them at Madison Square Garden in a very, very long time. The Knicks have not brought the people very much joy, and people were not happy to see a lot of them who were there. John Starks, by the way, owns a bunch of car dealerships now in Queens. When they first started making the playoffs, when I got here, you see the commercials for John Starks Kia, and now I believe that he has Starks Motors. He's got like some Ford dealerships, and John Starks does the commercials for the Ford dealerships. And I don't know if you saw the 30 for 30 about Pacers Knicks many years ago.
Winning time.
Yes, and John Starks is prominently featured in that. And I don't know about you, but with regards to these commercials, I would love to see the bloopers.
You aren't right.
I would love to see the bloopers. Hey, man, John Starks hit us with the ultimate, how you say it, malpropism? Is that how you say that word?
Sure.
Did this dude just did this?
He was fantastic on SportsCenter. It's funny to watch, like, we were running like old, clips and videos, some of the stuff from Winning Time, and he's just chuckling through it. And I'm like, how quickly, like, how much the emotion has changed surrounding that, because I know you guys like actually hated each other. And I love that, like, we can be reminded that when men play each other and they hate each other, it's all good. Like, it's good for the sport. It's great. It builds up the rivalry. We love rivalries. Patrick Ewing even got in a couple of shots on Wednesday when I talked to him on my show about Reggie Miller. Like still they don't, like, there's no love lost. And obviously it's softened over the years. It's been 30 years, but they don't like each other. And I feel like in the male space, that's like, okay. And that's exciting. And we love that. Obviously we know that when it comes to women, like, that's not okay. We're supposed to want to braid each other's hair. And it's got to be this whole entire think piece about, sisterhood and all of those things when people don't like each other. But I dig the fact that, like, they still feel some kind of way about the Pacers.
And Reggie Miller, clearly, right? Because Reggie Miller hasn't let go of any of this stuff.
Clearly.
With regard to that, we had, WNBA season is back. And so are we, Elle. I'm not talking about actual WNBA fans. I'm talking about the rest of us. We showing up and they are watching Caitlin Clark games in unreal numbers. Like this is a phenomenon with staying power. This is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I hope we get better at this. I've made this point. I actually saw somebody make a somewhat fair point because I did a thing on the show the other day where I said, tell me how I can get into this without having to get into it online, because online makes it terrible. Because I do think online makes it worse than anything else. And the guy said, well, the way to do it is to watch games, but you clearly don't want to do that because the only time that you talk about this is when it's Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And I'm like, buddy, I don't know how to break this to you, but the people who listen to this podcast are not coming here to talk about the WNBA. Like that's not, I can't make them do that, right?
Sure.
Like I get that point, but I might watch every WNBA game. It's not going to be reflected necessarily by how much I talk about it here. Clark generally is the topic. And then we add Angel Reese to this, and how we got here is its own story. But now this goes to another place. I think that most people do believe that it is okay for these players to not like each other. I do think that there's kind of like the newbie Caitlin Clark crew that doesn't want anybody picking on her. And there's the race angle that comes into this and everything else, right? But I also think this, rather than take the approach that you are taking and that I'm inclined to take, which is, I don't think these two like each other, and that's okay. That makes it fun. Chet and Victor Wembanyama, for example, do not like each other. Going back to before they got into the NBA, this makes it better. But what I do think we had is a lot of people on the Angel Reese defender side. Why do you think she doesn't like her? There's no reason for her to be jealous of her, And I'm kind of like, hey. She don't like her, okay? Like we have enough data points here that we can go to that, nah. She is not a Caitlin Clark fan. That's not her girl. And when people lie about that part, I do think there are a lot of other people that then hammer that part. You know she don't like her. It's not that important that she doesn't like her. It makes it more fun, but let's not play in our faces. Caitlin Clark also clearly doesn't like her. That push and that look she gave her on that one, that wasn't just, it's a hard basketball foul. They don't like each other.
I'm with you. I think the reason that, so Jemele Hill said something the other day that I thought was like really on the nose. I think it looks pretty clear that they don't like each other, right? It goes back to college, and like there's certainly no love lost between the two of them. I think the issue is that people are saying things, they're making it more than they just don't like each other. It's become Angel is jealous. Angel is bitter. Angel is, and I think Jemele nailed it when she said, could you not understand if she's resentful? And that's not the same as bitter and jealous. Like that is a resentment that there is a whole entire, faction of fans, and I'm air quoting that for the people that are listening, that basically attribute everything that she's ever done to that moment with Caitlin Clark, where she trolled her at the national championship. And that without that, and without the link to Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese would have never reached the level of popularity that she's reached, or any of those things. And we can exceptionalize Caitlin Clark, and we should. She's exceptional. She is exceptional. And she's doing things. She's already about to break the triple-double record in like her 43rd career game. Like it's wild what she's doing. Every time she goes out there, she makes history. The basketball is speaking for itself, and the ratings are speaking for themselves. I mean, we are seeing incredible numbers. But the problem, I think, for Angel Reese fans is that, yes, they're being a little bit delulu to act like, what? These girls are fine with each other. But I do think that there is this inherent need to want and protect her because of what happens when you have these sort of public figures who really have no interest in this space beyond talking about this discourse and narrative, and only have like 2 or 3 names in the tank that they can refer to, saying things like she's bitter and she's jealous, because it sort of solidifies in some people's minds what they already believe, which is that Angel Reese is nothing without Caitlin Clark. And that's just totally and completely unfair. It's just not. And, it's also some of the word association. Like if you want to say you think Angel Reese is mid, of course. People call everyone in the W so sensitive. I'm like, no, that stuff is totally fair. She's mid, she's this, she's whatever. It's there's a video going around right now where like someone asked, Fever fans outside, like, one word to associate with Angel Reese. It's ghetto. It's that kind of stuff that's like, you guys stop it. It's like such clear micro and macro aggressions that is super annoying. I am completely on team. Come watch for whatever reason that reason is, especially if you're a casual fan. If, for instance, I'm a casual hockey fan, right? I pretty much tune in for the playoffs. I like the playoffs a lot. I am currently watching the Hurricanes and Panthers series because Rod Brindamore 2 years ago, when they got swept by the Panthers, went on this whole tirade about how they did not, in fact, get swept by the Panthers. And I thought it was absurd and silly. And it's some of like my favorite post-game sound of all time. If you've never heard it, just Google Rod Brindamore sweep. It's ridiculous. I mean, he just makes an argument about how they didn't get swept when in fact they got swept. They went 0-4 in the series. And so I'm watching for that reason alone, right? Like, it's okay to watch because you just like Caitlyn or you just like Angel. For me, the issue that I have is, well, I have a couple of issues, but one of them is being a casual, coming in, making a snap judgment on something because you've seen it on social media, and then making it law, like, this is what's happening and I know it for a fact. No, you don't. And shut up. And the other thing, Bo, is that I've gotten so incredibly tired of this space because it just is the same discourse over. I feel like I'm living in like fucked up Groundhog Day, where something happens and then inevitably I've got some right-wing, media space that decided to write an article about it and is like, do you have any comments on Angel Reese trying to attack Kate? I'm like, oh my God, it just is the same. We are not getting anywhere at this point. We're just not, like, we do not. This is a very disingenuous space right now. Nobody is really here to listen to anybody else's perspective. If LeBron James posts that Caitlin Clark is his favorite player, then he's getting shit for not protecting Black women. And if you post that Angel Reese is your favorite player, then you're trying to stifle Caitlin Clark's greatness. It's just unreal. We have retreated to sides. No one is trying to listen. Nobody can be swayed. Nobody is open or open-minded, and nobody is really making the main thing the main thing. And I'm not out here trying to sell you on why you should, feel like the most important storyline is who's coming off the bench for Phoenix. I'm in television. I get it. Right. The basketball heads, the people that like really love the WNBA space, they care about those things. The new show that we're going to do is hopefully going to get into more of those things. I'm not out here trying to sell you, let's pivot away from Caitlin Clark and talk about, I am just saying Caitlin Clark herself would love for you to focus on the basketball part of it because the Fever this year, guys, are real contenders. They look really good. Their biggest weakness last year was a lack of experience and defense. They shored up the lack of experience by getting two former champions on the team, and their defense looks a lot better with a defensive-minded coach in Steph White. I would imagine, and I know this to be true because I've been at those Final Four media availabilities when we get time with just the teams alone. I've been at two of them with Caitlin Clark. She is a great teammate. Her teammates love her. And I know that as much as she understands she is an otherworldly star, she would love for you to make it more about the basketball and how well Aaliyah Boston's doing and how well Kelsey Mitchell's doing and what a great piece Sophie is and how they are actually contending. Last year, fine. Last year at this point, we had a couple games under our belt. There really wasn't much to talk about. People were filling in the blanks about whether she was getting bullied. But now they are actual contenders, and I promise you she would love for you to focus more on that. But when it comes to the constant discourse, Bo, I'm John Coffey, bruh. I'm tired, boss. Like, I just can't anymore. They don't care to listen. I'm tired of talking about it. I am very, very unique in that I have an ability to use my platform to actually leverage more of these storylines because I am on TV talking about them. So like, that's where my main focus is and not just responding constantly to the influx of disingenuous characters on social media that try to drag you into a grudge match about race.
So something dawned on me while you were saying all of that I think the Caitlin Clark comp that I haven't seen made so much, but I think is probably going to prove to be the most accurate one. And this is for me watching the little bit I saw from the clips I saw from the game against the Sky. And then I think when they played the Dream next game where they lost at home.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we are actually dealing with a Tiger Woods-like phenomenon, right? Where you have golf had a world full of fans and then the rest of us showed up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But interestingly, the rest of us showed up and everybody was on the same team when it happened. Golf people were in a different space. They wasn't like, hey, you guys wasn't watching us before. We were all just like, yo, did you see Tiger Woods, right? Everybody got in there, but it was clearly one person who stood ahead of everybody else. But I always say Tiger Woods put a lot of those people's kids through private school. A lot of people got a lot more famous because Tiger Woods was there. Phil Mickelson got famous in a much different way. We can go up and down the line. Then we had all the guys from David Duval to Sergio Garcia. Phil Mickelson wound up in that space for a while. We kept trying to find like an actual competitive peer to who Tiger was. And I think that happened because in part people who covered this, who weren't all golf all the time people, still had a greater familiarity with the game. And so they knew a little better what they were watching and they knew who like the comps were to put next to Tiger Woods. So far, the only person that we have actually put next to Caitlin Clark is quite honestly somebody, if we're just talking about basketball, isn't there. Like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are not in the same class or caliber. We don't talk about Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark vis-a-vis, which makes a bit more sense, right? When you just talk about like level of play or like who is someone that competes. Because look, anybody that knows anything about basketball, you watch Caitlin Clark and this is something different. This is unlike anything I recall from a guard playing women's basketball, right? Like Asia Wilson, probably a better player right now, but not in this way, right? It's not this type of player that we're talking about. And so what I have been surprised by, and it makes me wonder how sincere a lot of the interest is that comes from people who haven't been there forever, is it's not taking you to other basketball players. It just takes you to this one, and then what is largely a contrivance that surrounds the situation with her and Reese. But we haven't gotten to the place where this turns into man. So let's talk some more about some of these other basketball players. Like what I saw from these first couple of games, Aaliyah Boston looks a lot better than she did last year. They look to have a lot more chemistry in this. A big thing that I think is important too, they go so fast from the women's college basketball season as rookies into this new season that when you come into this season, it's like, wow, it looks like Caitlin Clark and her teammates have actually met before. Isn't that something, right? Like the vibes seem like the actual basketball type stuff, right, that we see. I do wonder when people like me, and I know I'm one of these people that's new. When does it get there? Because they're wearing me out on the way over there, Elle. I can't do this shit. I just can't. Everybody lying, everybody on something else. I personally can't do it, but I got to find a way to get into this that's not the internet. And I think that's a WNBA problem, though, is that WNBA per capita is really online, really, really, really online, and it is very bad for everybody.
Yeah, well, I think that the issue is that the WNBA online space used to be something very different. And it was a little bit like NBA Twitter, and it was fun and it was a little petty and like, it was who's dating who's wearing what. Obviously, it was about the basketball. It was very cultural. Let's be clear, the demo looked very different. And now the space has become exactly that. Like almost every single person that I have followed that's in the W space years ago, most of their content now is either defending someone, defending themselves against reverse racism, everybody has drawn their sort of battle lines, and it's just constant defense of one thing or the other. It's, we have like really big figures who have come into the space because of Caitlin Clark, and that's great. I've said this a million times. I think it's great to open up the space. Obviously, like I'm newer to the W in terms of covering it. And so it's important. That's how you grow fan bases. That's how you grow ratings, is new people come into the space. But you've got people who are even Caitlin Clark fans that on a day where she'll make history will find something else to make it about. And it's like the NBA, the WNBA says they're going to do an investigation into whether there was some, racist things leveled at Angel Reese when she was there. And it becomes an attack on every single Fever fan. And it becomes an attack on the Midwest way. And it's like, what? Like everybody is looking for a reason to be offended. And it has become absolutely exhausting. And I'm with you. The thing with Tiger is that like, I remember the first time that my dad told me about this kid named Tiger Woods that was coming up. And I was in elementary school at the time, right? And obviously the intrigue with Tiger started because he was a black kid in white dominated space. And that made him different and unique. Ablation in a white dominated space. The country club space.
Don't you leave that cap part out.
Oh, sorry.
Don't you leave that out. There you go. Don't no sir, Bob. He want to make sure you get every flavor. All. That's right.
Ablation. But to your point, what we didn't have at that time, while it made it interesting to watch him, what we didn't have at that time was this back and forth about whether he was popular because he was Black or how that was an indictment or affront to all of the good white people who held down golf for so long. It was about the golf. It was like, yes, okay, maybe he drew your interest because he stuck out like a sore thumb and looked very different in this space that we assumed was like older and white. But you stayed because of his dominance, because of how incredible he was. And to your point, it's a little different that, at a golf tournament, if you're watching for Tiger, you're by proxy going to watch the other golfers, right? Like you don't really have a choice. You have a choice when it comes to basketball. You can only watch fever games if you want to, and that's okay if that's all you want to do is watch fever games. But I do think that this idea, we felt like coming in last year, all of my frustration was all of these players understand that a rising tide lifts all boats. So anything that Caitlin Clark can do in this space is going to ultimately help them. It's going to help them with their media deal. It's going to help the ratings. It's going to essentially help their pockets. And we're coming up on a CBA. But I'm with you. I'm just wondering how we can grow this space if there is a super fixation on one player and that one player leads to so many exhaustive conversations that people now want to completely disengage. And I feel for all the parties involved. I feel for Caitlin too, because this is not something I imagine that she thought she'd have to navigate. All she wanted to do was grow up and play in the league that she idolized growing up. She idolized Maya Moore. All she wanted to do was live out her dream of being a professional basketball player in the WNBA. And it turned into something totally different. I don't think when she was a little girl, she imagined she'd have to navigate the complexities of race in the W. Like, I don't think that that's something she thought she'd have to answer to at shoot around media availability every single game. And so it's just, I wish that some of the people who call themselves Caitlin Clark supporters would understand that they do not honor her or pay tribute to her by denigrating all of the women that she looked up to. That is not the solution. That's not the sauce. We've lost the recipe. Like, that's not what she wants. I know she appreciates the fandom, but sometimes it's like, at what cost? And I think that's sort of the frustrating part, is that longstanding W fans have been hoping for this kind of attention. And now that they've got it, it's pretty nasty. And it doesn't seem to have a solution. I thought it was going to get better after last year, that we would sort of get that out of our system, but here we are again.
All right, I'm going to say something selfish right before we go into the break. And I know that this is selfish, but at the same time, it's tough times in journalism, and I want to do what I can to help.
Okay.
I got $100 for the first person at a media availability to ask Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, I was just wondering, Robert Griffin has been married to 2 white women. Do you think he's allowed to have an opinion on the WNBA?
Oh, no.
We'll be right back. This show is brought to you by Perplexity. Perplexity is an AI-powered answer engine that searches the internet in real time to give you fast, high-quality answers with sources. Unlike legacy search engines that respond with a list of links, Perplexity skips straight to the answers you need, explained in easy-to-understand everyday language with sources and citations.
That's right, Bo. Often we use Perplexity to look things up, find information. For example, earlier last week, we used it to find out what else have Jokic's brothers done. Perplexity quickly gave us information about the eclectic lives of both Jokic brothers.
Discover fast and reliable search for Perplexity today. Download the app or ask Perplexity anything at perplexity.ai. It's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you'll be looking at a 500-time bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code Bomani. That's code Bomani to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Let me tell you about ZBiotics, pre-alcohol probiotic. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break the byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Summer is here, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. Before that backyard barbecue brew, glass of Pinot watching the sunset at the beach, or cocktail by the campfire, don't forget your ZBiotics pre-alcohol. Drink one before drinking and wake up feeling great and ready to take on the next day and all that summer has to offer. Go to zbiotic.com/Bomani to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Bomani at checkout. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Bomani and use the code Bomani at checkout for 15% off. All right, we are back on the right time with Elle Duncan, and I was hoping you had thoughts on this topic, and you told me that you did, and I didn't want you to tell me before we got here. But for people who are unaware of this, they gonna put flag football in the Olympics. NFL players have been pushing for this to get flag football into the Olympics, and it looks like for 2028, there will be flag football, and NFL players can play flag football in the Olympics. And I am curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I honestly did not think there would be an appetite for professional football players to want to play flag football. I mean, to me, it's sort of like telling an Olympic gymnast, like telling Simone Biles, like, finally, Simone, they've added jazzercise to the Olympics. It feels like a totally watered down version of what they already do. But I guess I completely underestimated the ego of some dudes that are like, I have never had an opportunity to play for a gold medal, and like, I will get it any absolute way that I can. Lombardi aside, I want that gold medal. I just find this to be weird. And frankly, I also find the fact that there was such full-throated support from the owners to be weird too, because of the timing. These players will have to miss some of training camp. And like, flag football at this level, I'm not acting like it's like, intramural flag football. I understand, like, you have to be a real athlete. There's cutting, there's all kinds of things. The risk to injury, like, can you imagine risking your $150 million contract because you cut wrong at a flag football game? Like, this to me it's wild that it got support from ownership, and it's wilder to me that there's apparently all of these NFL stars that are like, this has been my lifelong dream. Since when?
First of all, do you remember former Georgia Bulldog great Robert Edwards?
Of course.
Ask him about flag football.
What is it, his thing?
Oh, no. He tore his knee up playing flag football on the beach at the Pro Bowl that year.
Yes. Oh, my God. Yes, exactly. That's why they don't do it anymore.
Yes,
I remember.
Exactly. Yes, they were like, oh, man. He came back, he played, but he was, by the way, Robert Edwards and Dikeel Spikes were on the same little bitty Georgia high school football team, which is the most unfair thing that I have ever heard in my life. But this is my question about it, because I think it's easy to forget. American football is just that. It is American. This is not a sport that they play all over the world. This is not basketball, right? This isn't even baseball, which they don't really play all over the world, but they do play in different pockets of the world, right? Some South America, some Central America, some Caribbean, some Asia. But, they play it in different places. The only place anybody plays football is in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Who they gonna play against? Who these people? Number one, who these people they gonna play against? Number two, Is it going to just be one team per country? Right? Like, how many teams are there? That's what I can't figure out, because are y'all just going to be playing against each other? Like, y'all can't, like, we're really going to send Justin Jefferson. Like, I got it, the dream team. We sent Magic Johnson out here to play against Angola, and that wasn't fair. You know what I'm saying? We going to really send Justin Jefferson out here to play against the Japanese flag football team? What are we doing here? What is how are you going to decide the 5 people from America to make the team? How does any of this? No, this is ridiculous. This is preposterous.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly did not believe this was a thing that anyone was asking for. I do know flag football is becoming more popular in youth sports because of concussion issues and things like that. I've got friends that don't want their kids to play regular football, so they put them in flag football. I know flag football is really taking off with girls. There's been a big initiative with the NFL, so I get all of that. It feels like, though, we're maybe like another Olympics away from there being a real appetite for flag football. I certainly don't care. I want to, right? Yeah.
What you just said, though, that's still all in America.
Yeah, it is.
I ain't heard nothing about it getting cracking in Mexico. And by the way, if pickup basketball is any indication, Mexican flag football is not a non-contact sport.
Bro.
Just letting you know right now.
I'm telling you right now, I randomly caught, I don't even know what it was, but it was like an international women's flag football game. And it was America versus Mexico. And those Mexican girls were boat racing America. I mean, they were so good. Like, me and my husband were like, God damn, she's fast. They were killing America. So I have actually seen the Women's Mexican League flag football. They could probably go up against the men's flag football team. They were incredible. But again, I think that women are embracing flag football more because it's an opportunity to participate in football at a level that, that they can really play at and really excel at. I didn't know that there was an appetite for flag football, homie. I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was going, oh my God, Olympic Committee, can you finally add flag football? And for me, how much does it suck for these dudes? Because there are career lifelong flag football players, apparently. I've learned upon doing some research about this. And how shitty is it for you, Mike Williams or whoever your name is, who's really waited for this moment only to find out you're going to lose your slot to Justin Jefferson. That's so unfair. Let somebody else have something. You play for hundreds of millions of dollars and you play football and you play for, it could just be because I'm a Southern girl who loves football. But to me, there is no greater trophy in my mind than winning the Lombardi. It is incredible. It's so hard to get 53 dudes to come together to win this game. And I think that it is the greatest testament to teamwork and all of those things. So I don't know why you're punching down to win a gold medal in flag football. It just feels so silly to me, especially when you think about the Riz.
I got a midpoint on what we should do with this, right? Because Justin Jefferson, for example, should not be participating in this activity, right? First of all, the most extreme, how did you ever let this happen, is when Jamal Charles tells his stories about playing or competing in the Special Olympics. I know that some of you just heard me say that and you're like, Bomani, you can't possibly be telling the truth. Look it up. Jamal Charles said that he developed his confidence as an athlete competing in the Special Olympics. And I, to this day, can't imagine what it would be like if you showed up with your kid for the Special Olympics and it's the 100-meter dash and it's Jamal Charles.
Yeah, that's not fair.
I don't know what the equivalent in this case of asking for the birth certificate is, but I assure you somebody did that, right? That was just not
make it make sense.
Yeah. You can't. Come on, man. You can't let them do it. At the very least, you can't let them do it twice.
No.
Right? The first time, okay, somebody dropped the ball, right? Somebody misunderstood what was going on. But, anyway, here's the way they should do it for the flag football. And I think that this would be something that would make it feel a little more wholesome, right? Did you ever play GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64?
No, I've seen it, but no, I didn't play it.
Okay. So you could put in the code in GoldenEye and you could get all kinds of characters from other James Bond movies to participate and play in the game, right? And one of those characters you could get was Odd Job. You remember Odd Job? the little homie Odd Job,
Uh-huh.
and you can have Odd Job. Odd Job would be a monster to try to deal with for obvious reasons, right? Odd Job only this tall. I feel like in flag football, there's a real benefit to not being that tall, right?
Sure.
They got to reach down there. They got to get you. So this, you send 5 people over. I asked Perplexity to give me the shortest players in the NFL. And here is who we should send over there to play flag football.
Okay.
Deuce Vaughn, 5'5", the new Darren Sproles.
Yep.
Boston Scott, still in the league, 5'6". Deontay Hardy, gonna be honest, never heard of him, but he's a mere 5'6". Jakeem Grant, seems like he's cool, 5'7". And Rondale Moore, whom I have heard of, plays for the Arizona Cardinals, 5'7". We need to do something for the little homies. You know what I'm saying? Let them get out there, run around, hitting L1, hitting circle, spinning around. World ain't ready for that. Don't need no Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, I mean, I feel like it's hard to tackle Justin Jefferson, but to get them flags, man, he a big dude.
He really is. And honestly, you just enlightened me more than anyone else has on the merits of winning flag football, because I don't know, because I have real football to watch and I don't care. I never thought about the fact that being little would actually be an advantage because it's harder to get the flag. You're lower to the ground. But again, I wouldn't know that because I don't play intramural in college anymore. And so I don't watch too much flag football.
Hey, let me tell you this. You ever talk to an adult who participates in flag football? They are dead ass serious about it. I will never forget this. One of my mama's students took me when I was in 9th grade, I think. He took me on campus to get a haircut, right? It's the first time in my life. That was the day I learned exactly what weed smells like, right? Because the room was super weedy out, And so I'm in there and some cat comes in, and this is at Prairie View. And this is when Prairie View was in the terrible losing streak, right? But this dude is telling me about how he plays flag football. And I knew enough to know when he told me how serious he was, because he was like, yeah, we wear mouthpieces. I'm like,
for flag football?
It's real in the field out there with that flag football. And cats that compete in flag football, they mean it. They are serious. And yes, they are salty that Justin Jefferson is coming in here to house they like. Like, come on, man, we got to just let this be regular people. I'll watch it in the Olympics if it's regular people.
Same. So what you're saying is that flag football is basically like a pickup game at the Y. A bunch of athletes in slides and khaki shorts out there trying to pretend like they've still got it and taking it more seriously than probably anybody has in their life. Okay. Yes. I got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, one could say show they still got it. I believe that in many cases, it's show they ever had it in the first place. They have not been put in a proper situation to say whether or not they did or did not have it. Like this is where they are.
So fun story. I used to work out at the AUC, like the Atlanta Medical Center rehab facility in Atlanta. And a lot of like former athletes and stuff would work out there or whatever. I mean, a lot of track guys and stuff like that. But then of course, it's also a rehab facility at a medical center. So it was just this juxtaposition of 92-year-olds, sitting on the weight bench. There was a couple of times where I was like, we may have a medical emergency. I wasn't sure if they were alive or if they were just taking a break. And I was dating an NBA player at the time, and I would tell him about these pickup games and how these dudes just had so much moxie and they were so territorial over the court. I'd be trying to do lunges and they'd be giving me shit. And so he decides to pull up one day, him and a couple of other of his teammates at the time. And just to put these guys in their place and to watch just the fear go over the pickup player's face when they see these NBA players come in and show them that they're not nearly as good as they thought they were. It was one of the best phone a friends of my life. I was like, every once in a while, you just got to remind people and put them in their place. I'm going to lunge wherever the fuck I want to because this ain't that serious because it's a rehab facility and it's the middle of the day and get off my court.
Damn, man. Josh Smith did him like that.
You know what? That was never. You need
Dog,
to
I can't believe, man. Ivan Williams really rolled up on them people.
My guy, Ivan.
I would love nothing more in this world if we wrap this and you told me, yes, I was dating Ivan Williams. I would love to know what it would be like to date Ivan Williams. That sounds terrifying.
I never dated Ivan Williams.
There's like 8 people listening to this that know who we're talking about when we talk about Ivan Williams. And we have talked about Ivan Williams on this podcast before. Ivan Williams got kicked out of the whole Philippines league for being just a little too gangster.
Ivan Williams threatened his own teammate who, like, on the side was a pastor. Like, the nicest guy that's ever lived. And he threatened bodily harm on him. I loved Ivan Williams for the brief moment he spent in Atlanta, but not in that way.
Look here, the first time I saw him play, and it was on television, and it was very clear what type of dude he was. What type of time Ivan Williams was abundantly clear. If you've ever been around that was what it was. So, like, tell me this. Did Zaza take you from Atlanta, Georgia to war-torn Georgia to meet the family?
I hate you.
I'm just asking. I'm just, I mean, it would be really cool. It'd be a full circle moment. You know, I seen some pictures of war-torn Georgia on Instagram. It looks like a beautiful place.
Zaza would come up to me at every game and be like, you know, I'm from the real Georgia. I'm like, okay, bro.
That was his line. That was his pickup line. I take you to real Georgia.
I'm from the real Georgia. You Georgia girl, but I'm from real Georgia. I loved Zaza. It was never okay. So for those of you, Bo knows who I dated, and he's just being coy and he's messing around and he's naming everyone except the person. No, I never dated Zaza Pachulia. Good guy though.
Hey, I'm just saying. Look here, Flip Murray. He was the man back in the day.
Get the hell out of here, bro.
Just say it. But this is Elle Duncan. Could you tell people again about Vibe Check?
Yeah, man. Vibe Check is coming. I don't have a ton more information.
That's right.
That.
I forgot. My bad.
Tell everybody where you can find it, Elle. Well, I'm not sure.
My fault.
Here's what I know. It'll be on Disney Plus, and it's coming sometime this summer. And Bo, hopefully I can come back on the show when I have more details.
Yes, I'm just saying sometimes I'm trying to be a good friend and I'm being the worst friend ever. But I still appreciate you, and I think you're wonderful.
You're the best, Bo. Thanks for having me, homie.
No problem. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. Hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767. Oldie but goodie. Tell us about that time you tried your pops. And if you've tried to get your story on and it hasn't gotten on before, try again. Sometimes you just got to wait your turn to win. You know what happened that time. 323-596-7767. My man Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.